So, hello. I'm really, really pleased to be here. Very happy to be here. What better way, really, could we be spending our time? We just sit here, listening to people talking about their inspiration and aspiration, and sharing their lives and their practice with us. What a privilege. We're so lucky, aren't we? Are we lucky to be here? How did that happen? I have that question for myself very often. So I feel a sense of gratitude for that. And, for all the people that made it possible, who established the conditions. So the people who put up the tent, and way back, over generations and generations of people back to the time of the Buddha, who has passed on this kind of wisdom, this life-changing wisdom to us to be able to share together just here, just now. Very precious. I feel particularly grateful for a character called Maitreya Bandhu, who is my preceptor. We have people who kind of try and look after us, or at least until the time when we get ordained in Triratna. And Maitreya Bandhu did that for me. So if I ever get a chance to talk in this way, I always want to acknowledge that. He planted that seed for me. Or actually, more accurately, he managed to convince me that I had a seed. Yeah? And I think that there's something in that definition and that distinction between whether the seed has been planted or whether it's simply always been there and is being revealed by the life that I've lived and the practices that I've been engaged in. So that's as near as I can get to anything to do with seeds. I'm not the best person to talk about seeds, really. I just this last week I got evicted from an allotment because this is true, because it kind of got completely out of hand, and everybody was complaining. Apparently there were seeds of my weeds that were going into everybody else's allotment. I tried to persuade them that I was rewilding the area, but I didn't get away with that, so I've had to give that up. That was my idea of, I'll get old and I'll have an allotment. What I forgot was you had to actually go up there and dig and stuff like that. And there's a metaphor in that somewhere, isn't there? We have to actually do something. We have to, in the end, do something. So we can always, it's all very well to talk about, there's a seed in here somewhere, there's a heart, I've got Buddha nature. Well, it's no point, it's no good sitting and waiting for it to emerge. Yeah. Especially not in the public bar. You've got to do something. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, I suppose a bit about what I did anyway. Yeah. The person who was supposed to be here for this slot is called Sagravajra, and he does know about seeds. He has created this incredible space, so I'm sorry that you're not hearing him. But if you ever get a chance to, he'll probably be here again next year. Come and listen to Sagravajra. Just out here, as you walk through the field, there's a figure of Pranya Parinitar. It's like, you've probably seen it. It's in a circle of kind of wooden platforms. It's such a stunning thing of beauty. I love that. Sagravajra, it was who made that. Just kind of stand there for a minute and just think, how would I make this? Anyway, so I'm sorry he's not here, but you've got me instead. Yeah. I tried to pretend I was doing Buddhafield a favour. I said, I suppose, all right, I'll do it, you know what I mean? Yeah, actually, I was desperate to get up here. I had to get a bit moody, you know what I mean? I had to bring the diamond geezer into play here, right? And what can I do, Some say that giving them a false COVID reading and telling them it was Sagravajra was a bit over the top, but, needs must. That's not true, by the way. Just in case you got off with that idea. So I've got a neighbour, somebody I know lives near me, and he's very much into seeds. So he spends a lot of time, worrying about seeds and whether it's the right one to produce the marijuana plants that he's got growing in his back garden. The smell of which kind of pervades the valley where I live. And I was thinking about, can I get that into my talk somehow or other? And what he's doing, I think, he's like, somewhere or another, he's had what we can call a perfect moment. I don't know if anyone can kind of relate to that. It's certainly, you can relate to it. Certainly, I think anyone who's been involved in the drug world, you just feel suddenly, just now, in this moment, everything's perfect. Yeah? So someone earlier on was talking about the Buddha's experience in the rose apple garden, and I always think about that experience in that way. Just for a while, everything's just all right. I don't need anything. I don't want anything. I'm just ordinarily content and happy in this moment. So of course, what my friend and neighbour has done, he's chased that. Yeah? He's pursued that. He's tried to kind of recreate that. And of course, that doesn't work, does it? It ends in tears, we know that. But the experience itself, I think, has value. So I think, so being here, for instance, in this festival, isn't it brilliant here? I mean, you just it's like you forget so easily that what's happening in Ukraine is not going on. That the world is like this. It just all becomes normal for people to sort of tell you about their kind of inner lives and their feelings, and to smile at you and say hello and good morning. And this is just something special. But how quickly we forget. Yeah? We have these experiences, and we might go home and say, "Oh, the Buddhafield Festival, we want to go there. It's brilliant, it's fantastic," and stuff like that. But we don't seem to be able to hold on to it. It sort of runs away from us. You know that feeling? We have this perfect moment, but we desperately want. That's what we want to live like that. But it feels like the universe won't let us. Yeah. So in order to hold on to that kind of perfect moment experience, we have to do something. So we can say that in the teachings of the Buddha, he talks about this notion of what's usually described as right view or perfect vision. Perfect vision as in, or view as in vista. Yeah? This experience of just touching something a bit more than our ordinary, everyday, mundane experience. That moment when we're somehow kind of inspired. Something can happen in the context of communication. That gap between us, that need to sort of present some sort of persona, like Diamond Geezer, can just kind of fall away. And isn't it blissful? Isn't it wonderful? But so quickly we forget. I just feel here sometimes, I meet people and I talk about Buddha, and you come so close. Don't just walk away. These are the moments which are the important moments. This sort of sense of this connection of who we can be when we're at our best. That there's something more. There's something outside of this ordinary, everyday, fretful, worrying state of mind that so many of us, I speak for myself, are in most of the time. And we can get a glimpse of that. And it's important, and we can so easily dismiss it and forget about it and not even notice it somehow or really recognize it. But that's the jewel. That's the important thing. That's the thing to try and find a way back to. So in terms of seeds, let's come back to seeds. What we want to do is we want to kind of encourage it and develop it and acknowledge it. It's really important. It's more important than paying the rent, actually. Although, Of course, you don't pay the rent, things get a bit difficult, but nevertheless, you know what I'm trying to say. It's more important than ordinary everyday life. And yet we somehow tag it on, don't we? We tag it on. I can't come to meditation this week, I've got, football practice. It's up to you, do what you like. I'm just saying, it's so close here. You've got to do something. Of course, and the fundamental thing, the starting point about what one does is you need to be, in some sense, as best we can, aware of what it is that we're actually experiencing. So we need to develop this faculty of awareness, crucial, underpins everything. And meditation practice, of course, is the easiest and most direct way that we can do that. So if we want to honour that sense of right view, of perfect vision, of that flowering seed, of that opening of the heart, which is there and available to us if only we knew, we have to start by being aware of what it is that we're actually experiencing. And from that we start to think, what do I need to do in order to encourage and feed that? What do I need to do in terms of external conditions, where I'm living, who I'm with, what I'm doing for a living, and that sort of thing. And what do I need to do in terms of internal conditions? We start to notice that habitual negative state that we're in so often. What am I going to do about that? Am I going to just live like this for the rest of my life? Am I actually going to start to tackle it in some way? And then, of course, once you start on that process, you find yourself turning towards ethics, because once you start to become aware, you feel the pain and discomfort of when you're acting in a way that it doesn't correspond to that dual, to that initial thing. So in response to that experience, in Buddhist terms, of perfect view, we need to change the way that we function in order to be in order to sort of, if you like, be like that. Like that is really hard to talk about, impossible to talk about, but we can certainly say it's got the characteristics of purity. And how do we work with that? Trying to drive people off the road because they've caught you up in traffic and stuff like that, that's not going to work. We've got to find a way, haven't we, of somehow or other looking at our ethical lives. Not because there's a moral imperative or that God's going to punish us if we don't, or anything of that sort of nature, just because it's not honouring that experience of perfect vision that we've had. And then, of course, we need the wisdom factor. So we need meditation, we need ethics, and we need wisdom. We need to have some experience, even study, discussion, and realization of the nature of the way things actually really are, which are impermanent, unsatisfactory, and free of a fixed, unchanging entity. Everything is changing all of the time. So when things go wrong, someone earlier was talking about people die and things like that. We feel that, don't we? And our own mortality and stuff of that nature. But we need to understand that's what it's like being alive. Nothing is fixed. Nothing stays the same. We're not going to. This seed, this diamond that we've talked about, this jewel sits in our hearts. To stay there, we've got to come into relationship somehow with the impermanent nature of the way things really are. Somehow sit back and accept and understand that's how it is. We'll feel hurt, we'll feel grief, we'll feel pain, but there's something bigger than all of that. So we're constantly in a process of trying to come back. And if all else fails, and we can't find any kind of way of coming back to develop that seed into a flower, into something more substantial, sometimes we just have to give up and just stand in front of the figure of the Buddha and say, over to you, brother. Okay, I think that's me finished.